All right, today I want to talk about why it seems like the internet is very much on high alert right now for some kind of incoming Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, outside of just, of course, that loose window that we know to expect from Nintendo themselves. If you didn't see the infamous tweet that has well over like 38+ million views or impressions over on Twitter, this is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. And so that, in Furukawa's own words, means that we will indeed learn about this console, an announcement of the successor to the Switch, at some time between now and between the end of March 2025. Now, if you pay attention or put any stock into some of the leaks and rumors from Bloomberg, VGC, Eurogamer, numerous outlets all started to report that there was an internal shift with Nintendo's timing on the Nintendo Switch 2, as it was once planned to be a holiday 2024 system launch, and that was then internally pushed back to early 2025, March kind of being the window that a couple names out there have claimed, names like PH Brazil, more or less stating that that's a hard date for Nintendo, and that's exactly what's being communicated to developers, is to have your games ready to go by March 2025 for the successor launch, which would very much follow the exact situation and launch timing of the original Nintendo Switch. Because if you're not familiar with a certain thing called a Giga Leak, we actually found out internally that Nintendo Switch was once upon a time planned for a holiday 2016 release, and they then opted to delay that until March of 2017, where we finally saw it launch with Breath of the Wild Day 1. And we obviously know what kind of huge success the Nintendo Switch is for Nintendo, and launching around the holiday season is not a requirement for Nintendo to get off on a good foot. I think a lot of the core fan base goes and picks up the console at the beginning of the year that's going to buy it anyway, and then you kind of get the whole wave 2 of everybody that will eventually be able to get one at Christmas time the following year in 2025, and that very well could be what we see Nintendo do this time as well. And a couple pieces of information adding fuel to the fire that we might be right around the corner from Nintendo just giving us kind of a first look trailer, then maybe more of a deep dive presentation in the early part of next year, like we also saw them do with the Nintendo Switch, has to do with two different things. The first of which, and the most recent development, is that it's been spotted online that the original Nintendo Switch OLED launch trailer for Nintendo of America and major Nintendo official accounts online on platforms like you're watching right now, YouTube, that trailer's been pulled down, and now this happens essentially 3 full years after that trailer was out. So there's very much the possibility that this is just tied to licensing, and that's all that is. But we also see Nintendo historically, sometimes before announcing something new, whether it be a new variant or model, we see them pull these trailers down in effort to kind of control the algorithm a little bit. And if you search for something new Nintendo Switch related, you're going to see their brand new trailer and not something that was highly viewed before, like the Switch OLED reveal trailer. And you can go look for that trailer yourself right now. It has been pulled down off the official Nintendo accounts, but I would also like to point out that while this has happened before announcements in the past, such as the Splatoon 3 OLED edition, basically we saw the OLED trailer go down, the original one, it wasn't found online, then we got the announcement for that Splatoon 3 special edition. That's something that was indeed tied to some kind of pending announcement from Nintendo. We have also seen these trailers go down and then mysteriously pop back up later with no real rhyme or reason or explanation. So again, temper your expectations with this one, but as of right now, we have no original first look at Nintendo Switch trailer, no Nintendo Switch Lite official trailer, and now no official OLED trailer other than the special edition ones, which are still easy to find. And we do have the looming Switch Lite that will be dropping in September, so it could also be tied to that. Just kind of trying to play both sides of the field here. You could see how people can read into this and maybe expect that it's linked to some kind of impending announcement from Nintendo, but it also very well could be nothing, and it could just be tied to licensing rights, and Nintendo may have to renew something before they choose to put that video back up online, with, you know, music being always a big culprit. Like Nintendo, if they had some kind of 3-year agreement, maybe it's just expired and they have to rework that. That is one possibility. Something else that I've been seeing theorized online has to do with Nintendo's release schedule, and rather the lack of games after July all the way through September, because that is wide open right now for Nintendo from a first-party perspective, and in the Nintendo Switch's generation, we have not really seen them go much less than one first-party Nintendo Switch release per calendar month, and we obviously have a pretty large gap there from July 18th, when Nintendo World Championship will ultimately drop, all the way until the 26th of September, kind of just leaving a wide open 2 months there without any kind of big first-party marketing that Nintendo needs to do for any of their own games. And would that be the opportune window to talk about brand new console hardware for the first time? August being a prime candidate, as nothing is really going on that month from a first-party perspective for Nintendo, or it could be in the beginning part of September, and of course Echoes of Wisdom is launching towards the end of the month, allowing Nintendo to have all the spotlight in the world to kind of go over the new system, create waves online by revealing it one day, and then they can shift back to their regular marketing cadence past that as we get closer to the launch of Echoes of Wisdom. So that is two very small hints that we might be gearing up for some kind of official announcement. I am very much in the mindset that we are going to learn about this thing by October of this year. Of course, that's not confirmed to be the case. Nintendo could have just communicated very early in May that they're going to announce the successor to the Switch, and then they just sit on that until the end of the time window that they gave themselves. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I also believe that because of when they announced it in the year, as early as May, when they didn't have to come out and say anything, they could have kept quiet and kept business as usual. And at that fiscal year forecast investors briefing, they just decided to come out and tell everybody that they were going to be announcing the successor to the Switch this fiscal year. That leads me to believe that we are going to start the marketing campaign this year in 2024, and it will indeed be geared up for an early 2025 launch, like we've seen the internal reports suggest. And I do believe that Nintendo really stepping back and realizing how successful the Switch has been for them with its entire marketing campaign all the way through to where it is today, that a copy-paste situation does seem like a very safe bet here. And Mr. Furukawa is very much a safer president than we've seen Nintendo have in the past. He's a numbers guy. He wants this to obviously be a follow-up to a very successful generation for Nintendo, with a hopefully even more successful generation for them. And we know that historically that has not been the case for Nintendo. Normally, if they hit it out of the park with one console, the follow-up console is not necessarily near as successful, but they may be able to break that this time. And if the reason was actually that they want to have more first-party software ready to go for the launch window of this console, then maybe that internal delay made that much more sense. We're talking about potentially seeing games around the launch window like the next 3D Mario, that it will have now been around 7.5 years since the last mainline 3D Mario entry in the franchise, if you can believe that. Like, by the time it launches, if it were to launch in March of 2025, 7.5 years have passed since the last Mario 3D game at that point in the mainline franchise. So that's something to think about. Of course, we have the follow-up to the wildly successful Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to expect, as far as sometime likely in the launch window, dropping on the next gen hardware. And that next entry in the Mario Kart franchise is really going to be telling, because we have a fan base now of 61 million strong that have picked up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So the follow-up to that title, you better believe that Nintendo's going to throw some serious money, time, marketing, and spotlight around that game. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And the prospect of certain Nintendo Switch games maybe having cross-gen releases planned, like Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4, that we both know to be 2025 games, that we just don't know if they're going to have a Switch 2 version or not. But that's besides the other big unannounced first-party titles that we don't know to expect from Nintendo for sure yet, but will likely be around the launch window. And that's where the idea of maybe a fall direct taking place, it could indeed line up if they announce the new hardware before September or in the early part of September, and then we do see Nintendo hold that fall direct. I am not necessarily expecting it as much this year, just due to the fact that we know a lot of the Nintendo Switch release schedule through the rest of the year. In fact, through all of holiday 2024, and even the first game, Donkey Kong Country Returns, in 2025 all being announced, it makes me feel like maybe they don't have to have a September Nintendo Direct this year, and they very well may not, because we are in that transition hardware year, and they may do things very differently than in typical Nintendo Switch years when it is leading up to this launch of the successor like we know it to be. But there is the slightest chance that if this announcement happens relatively soon, that Nintendo still wants to hold a Direct to announce a lot of the first-party games that will be launching alongside of their next-gen platform, or they could very well wait until February to do that next year, when we historically see them hold a first-of-the-year Nintendo Direct. So we'll have to wait and see how all of this unfolds, but very exciting time for Nintendo fans. Obviously, we've been waiting for this thing forever to be officially confirmed and revealed to us. We know the confirmation is there is around this being a real console and that it will be coming out. The question now remains, when will Nintendo pull back the curtain? It is sometime between now and March 2025 at the latest, and that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of the Switch 2 reports online? Do you think that there's any credence to the idea that the OLED trailer being taken down and there being a couple wide open months in the Nintendo Switch first party release software schedule this year, that is likely pointing to Nintendo's behind the scenes plans that they may indeed be revealing this console sometime soon in that window? Or do you think Nintendo stays tight-lipped the rest of 2024 and we have to wait until the beginning parts of 2025 to finally learn about the new hardware, and maybe it's not until a holiday 2025 launch? So thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. Make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.